friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a video I am super duper excited to do. This is a video that I have actually been planning for months and months now. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and this is really directly going to be affecting my channel and my personal life. This is definitely going to be one for the books. I've got like a knot in my stomach a little bit as I'm filming this part, but I'm also so excited. So I'm really how do I say this? I'm ready to share a big secret with you that I have been keeping for a while now, and something that I've been working on really hard, and let's talk about it. But first, I kind of feel like I've got a lot of stuff around me. I kind of feel a little claustrophobic. I gotta move some stuff around. I think I actually need to adjust my camera, so hold on just one second. Let me try this. Whew. That's better. We bought a house! So I imagine you have a lot of questions, and I totally get it, so we're gonna talk about it.
The big boy, do you have a new house? Do you have a new house?
Lots to talk about, guys. Lots. Okay, I have a neighbor somewhere in my subdivision mowing, so hopefully you can't hear it with the microphone on, but oh gosh, where do I start? You guys, I have no idea how this video is going to turn out. I am gonna hope for the best, but also plan for I don't know what. I'm actually in my new beauty space. Okay, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start. Okay, I don't even know how to start this video. I thought of that intro for months now, but now that I'm past the intro, I have no idea how this is gonna play out. So yeah, Adam and I moved. We bought a house, and we are still adjusting. We have been in this house 1 week, one week, and we're still trying to personalize it and make it our own. And I know this is gonna come as a shock to a lot of people because we've told no one. Like, we were just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I need to get into this in the video portion. So, big life update, obviously, kind of starting out the video, and now I have no idea how to move forward with this video. So, I'm just going to do my best because we have been in the... That was Cooper and his bone on the floor, sorry. I'm gonna do my best in this video, guys. I'm gonna do my best. We have been in this new house for 1 week, and I'm gonna get into a lot of details. I'm gonna probably show you some vlog footage that I've been filming over the past week because I feel like I've been holding this secret that I've been wanting to share with you and like feel normal by putting you guys in this journey with me, but I also was just, there's so much going on behind the scenes. So I feel like, let's just get into it. Let's talk about it. So grab your tea, grab your snack, grab your water, get comfy because we are going to be doing a get ready with me while I tell you about this huge life update, some details. You can ask questions in the comments. And also, yes, I have my Boxycharms paid for and PR to get into in this get ready with me. So there's going to be a lot, and I'm sorry if it's going to sound a little different because I don't have anything yet for this new house. We just came from a tiny house. We've lived in a tiny house for 4 years, so we're in the middle of buying everything. Furniture, rugs, maybe new camera equipment for my channel. There's so many things to think of, and we're going to get into all of it. We're going to get into all of it. Cheers! Oh my gosh, you guys. And somewhere, one of my new neighbors is mowing. I'm hoping because of my camera and my microphone, you can't hear it or as much unless you probably have headphones in, and hopefully it'll go away. But you know, I now live in a subdivision in my new house, which is so exciting, and I'm so excited to be able to finally film and talk about it because behind the scenes, this has been in the works for months and months, but it has been a lot. If you are looking for a house in this wild market, bless you. Bless you. And I hope, sending you all the good vibes, because this has been one of the hardest things I have done as an adult. So hard. And it's been crazy. I didn't want to announce anything in case it didn't happen or in case something fell through or whatever, because this market is crazy. And I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions about maybe the tiny house, about what my plans are for the channel. I don't know all the answers yet, but I'm going to do my best to share with you guys, because this is a big moment in my personal life. And I feel like it's something that I've been dying to like get to this point to share with you guys so we can embark on this new journey together. And why not do it in the comfort zone of a Boxycharm video with, you know, putting on as much as we can, because I don't even know what's in here. I think I peaked at one point, but I've had a lot going on in my life, so I can't really remember much of anything that's in these boxes. So, okay, just as a Boxycharm note, because I am, you know, your Boxycharm girl, I do have to kind of start with the boxes and tell you that these are both base boxes. One of them's PR, one of them is one I pay for, and they're very different boxes. Like, one of them's a big old chunky boy. Look at this. This guy's got some girth to him. This one is thinner. Which one is which? Let's see. The thinner one is my paid for, and the PR is the thicker big boy. He's a big boy, you know, you can see him, big boy. So we're gonna talk some life updates with Boxycharm. Get ready with me. You ready? Let's just do it. I do need to say in the beginning of this video, because this box is gifted to me by Boxycharm. You can check out more information about Boxycharm in my description below, as always. Paid for versus PR. I rarely get to do that anymore because they come at such weird times. So we're gonna see what we think of these. Okay. And as you can see, I started with a bare face. I've only washed my face today. No skincare, nothing. Not a lot of repeat. Sorry, I'm distracted by my Boxycharms because I'm feeling a little normal in this moment. Finally sitting down with my friends and looking in Boxycharms. And I know you guys are probably like, just get to the information, lady. But you also want to know the information about Boxy, don't you? That's why we're here. I'm going to do some really quick unboxings for you guys so you can see what's in PR versus what I paid for. And then we're going to get into the get ready with me, where I'm going to give you some more life updates. And maybe that'll help my brain kind of like get back in motion of how do I talk on camera and fill you guys in on all of the things that have been going on, and what are my current plans, future plans, what's gonna, you know, happen with the tiny, what are we gonna be doing here, where did we move, are we still in Florida, are we not, where are we? So let's get into these first. It looks like the PR box has a special gift in it, because my paid for does not, and it's not on the card anywhere. So I'm gonna go through the Boxycharm products, and then I'm gonna tell you about the special item that is in here. So hang tight for that. I think the main repeat I see between these two boxes, paid for versus PR, they came in both, is, you guys familiar with this one? We have gotten this brand before in Boxycharm. This is Skin Ink. This is the Serum Glow Filter for $50, 50. I feel like I'm so echoey in here. I put down a blanket to try to help absorb sound because I don't have a lot of furniture yet, or rugs or anything. So sorry if the audio is a little echoey. This is gonna be a work in progress for just a little bit, guys, and thank you so much for hanging out. This is what the product looks like. Okay, it kind of looks very familiar to some of their other products. You may hear Cooper in the next room because now there's room to walk in this house. It's wild. It's wild. I just double checked with Google, and this is not a cruelty-free item according to Ethical Elephant, unfortunately. And I did get two, so I'm probably going to be putting these in a giveaway, giving them to a friend, that sort of thing. But what a great retail value. But is it skincare? Yeah, it is skincare. Ooh, I gotta try to not raise my voice as much like I like to when I'm excited, because I don't want to blow out the microphone, and I know this room is still echoey. Sorry, I gotta get stuff on the walls. I gotta do stuff, you know? It all comes in time. Something that I have already received, and I don't know if it was in a PR or paid for box, but it's something that came in my PR box that is not affiliated with, like, you know, my personal account with Boxycharm. They're two very separate boxes. The PR sent me the Pharmacy Honeymoon Glow Body 12% AHA BHA Resurfacing Body Serum. It is a $40 value. Now, I love Pharmacy. I still have my first one of these, and I feel like it's mostly because I don't follow the directions well with this, so I wasn't ever sure how to use it, because I think you're supposed to use it Oh, it says use nightly 2 to 3 times a week. Apply it to clean skin. I guess I always got confused of like if it had to be right after you shower, but I think it says don't use on the face. It may have slight tingling. Avoid using after shaving. So usually after I've shaved, that's when I want to use it. And I'm like, oh, I can't. It tells me not to. So I need to be mindful to use this, you know, in between shavings. But that's when I think to use something that's kind of like more moisturizing because my skin could dry out on my legs. So I do have one of these already. I am excited though because I do love some pharmacy. And now I have more room for backups of stuff I love. That's exciting too. So that's 2 skincare pieces. So keeping going with the PR box here, the next thing I see in here is something from Basic Beauty. Now we have, at least I personally have gotten one of their glosses before. It was kind of like a lip hydrator and I really liked that. I thought it did a good job. It is a cruelty-free brand. This is an eyeshadow primer. It is an eyelid primer formulated with hemp seed oil to moisturize and maximize color intensity. And here is what it looks like, just a little normal tubey guy. So I think I only have like maybe one other eyeshadow primer at the moment. I think it is like the Alamar one that's known to be pretty darn sticky. So I will be happy to try this. So this is technically to assist makeup, but is it directly the makeup? No, so it's something else you can't really see. But you know, this is still something a lot of people love to get. I've never been too much of an eye primer girl, but sometimes when I'm using something that I really want to be opaque on the eyes and bold or like a glitter or something, these do help a ton. The next thing that is in my PR box is a Ciate London Dewy Blush Glossy Skin Tint. What? This is $22 retail value, and it is the next generation gel balm tint that is set to shake up and refresh your beauty routine. Oh, it's smaller than I thought it would be. It's this little guy here. With an ultra lightweight finish, Dewy Blush leaves just a subtle hint of color that you apply to your cheek, blending effortlessly into a modern glass-like sheen. Okay, and it says the shade on it is Ick. E-A-C. Am I saying that right? Ick. Ick. That's the way I pronounce that. So we'll try that. I'm not sure how this will work for my oily skin, but you know, I could love it. It could shock me. It could wow me. And then the last product in here that is not the bonus gift is a liquid velvet lipstick from a brand that I do not recognize. V Cosmetic, but it's spelled K-O-S-M-E-T-I-K. It's a creamy velvet lipstick for $22. But it is in a color that is not really my personal jam, but we could try it. Wait, I think I got another one of these. Didn't I get this again? Yeah, I did get this. Okay, I missed it the first time in my paid for box because that was everything in my PR minus the gift that's on top, so I'm not sure what that's about. But I got this same thing over in my paid for box, so let's see if it's the same color. It says it's bubbly. I don't know if I'd call that color bubbly. To me, it seems a little deeper for that. Yep, same shade. So, maybe we'll try it. We'll see how we like it. Maybe it'll shock us, but I got 2 of them, so one's probably going to go to a friend to give away, that kind of thing. So moving over here now, just to the paid for. The duplicates from PR are this, the Skin Ink, and the lipstick. All right, I'm seeing more skincare, but what is this? This is Gloasis Milk Dew pH Balancing Moisture Milk Toner for $34, and this is hefty. I'm really curious what the packaging looks like. Wait, did we get this before? This looks super familiar. I think I've gotten this before. I think I liked it though. I kind of want to go look in my closet and see. I feel like I have this. I need to go look. Let me see. Did it make it through the move? Let me just look. I have gotten this, and this is how far down we are on this. So you guys know, if you are not new here, my husband Adam loves to try some of my skincare, some stuff he falls in love with, and clearly this is one that has done really well for us. So now I have a new one, but another repeat, which, you know, That's something that a lot of us have said that we were sick of in 2021, which was all the repeats. We were really hoping for some fresh goodies. Sorry, I just got a text from Adam that our new blinds are going to be shipping soon, because when you move, you have, nothing. Your house is bare, especially when you come from living in a tiny house where you only had things for that small space. Okay, back to this, and then we'll talk more about house stuff. All right, 2 more products to go through. One of them is, it's a beauty sponge. This is the Yensa Skin on Skin Beauty Sponge for $18. Okay, this sponge, we'll have to test out the sponge, but it has a double, flat head to it, and then a point at the end. It feels kind of spongy. Spongy with the sponge. Great, Nichole. It feels kind of firm, but it still has some give to it, as you can see. So we'll see what happens when I get it wet. And then the last thing in here is something that I'm pretty sure is an Ipsy brand crossover, because the last item that we got from this brand, I think, was, and the brand name is also Item. It is Item Beauty by Addison Rae. This is the Air Hug Concealer for $18. Oh yeah, I remember, because it was like that mascara, because it had that interesting packaging that we opened up that had a perforation on it. Because this one is the same, and this is shade 200. So let's just see here. Okay. Can't remember if this was a choice item or not. If it was probably because I was like, please just give me makeup at this point. So shade 200, it looks like it could work. Okay, so that is everything I got in my PR and paid for boxes. And if I had to tell you right now which box I prefer based off just this initial unboxing, I believe my initial instincts were to say my paid for box when I had first gotten it off camera and compared the two. Penny, Mama is talking. She sees new dogs in the neighborhood and she wants them to know she's the head bitch in charge. I mean, she is such a complex. It's fine. They both got the lipstick. They both have repeats that I have gotten before that are skincare, so it's kind of hard to compare, honestly. I guess I'm excited to try the concealer because it's makeup, and the sponge, because that, a good sponge is always good to have. But you know what? I am kind of intrigued to try the, where is it at? The Ciate blush. So I think I'm kind of gravitating just a touch more to my paid for box personally. However, they're kind of about even with me, honestly. And really quickly, I'm not sure why I got a special gift in my PR box, but let me see if there's a note in here about it. So I got a Refreshments Dazzling 5 Blade Razor Kit, which, as a girl that I feel like likes a good razor, just like, don't we all? That's pretty exciting. I was a little disappointed to see that it wasn't also in the paid for boxes. If you got a paid for box and you got this in there, is it just like some people got it, some people didn't, certain batches did, or is it only for influencers? Because that's kind of weird. It says, Refreshments, we don't make bathroom essentials, we make self-care superstars. So let's look into it. How it works. This is Personal Care Perfected. Our flexible membership lets you choose everything, as many products as you want, delivered as often as you need. Stock your bathroom, subscribe and save. Members get 20 to 30% off plus free shipping. Schedule it, skip, pause, or stop. Okay, so I guess this is like another membership that they're introducing maybe through Boxycharm. I think Ipsy did something like in the beginning stages of its brand where they did something similar to this maybe. I mean, if you know more information on this, let us know in the comments below, because I was not with Ipsy in the very beginning. I had it for a while, and I feel like I have it again with Boxy. But I guess this is a different membership where you can get like razors or something, beauty care, bathroom items on a monthly subscription. So that's interesting. So let's start getting into the try on portion, but from what I'm seeing, there's not gonna be much to try on. So out of 2 boxes, I'm gonna be able to do a get ready with me with 1, 2, 3, 4 products. So yeah, I think a lot of us just miss the days of Boxycharm exciting us, giving us that wow factor of makeup every time and getting to see the cool looks that we do with it. But we will see, because I clearly did love this. So I'll go use some of this toner really quick. get a primer, and kind of get going into this life update with you. So I got the sponge wet, I got my face toner on, so let's see here. The sponge did grow, it feels way bouncier now, so we'll see how it applies some foundation here in a moment and the concealer. I only have a little bit of this room set up because right now this is also acting as my day-to-day office. A lot of you guys know I work remotely as a marketing director. So like for me, it was really crucial to just start getting some things like put together immediately. So like my office and beauty room are kind of sort of set up, but this room is actually going to just be my beauty room in the future. We are in the process right now of trying to get furniture because if you are new here or you maybe didn't know from my old videos for any reason, we lived in a legit tiny house, like a 350-ish square foot tiny house. We never fully measured. We just kind of knew like the length of the wheelbase and the trailer on the base of the tiny house and stuff like that. I am putting on my Peach and Lily primer just to kind of get everything started here. If I forget to mention products that aren't part of the Boxycharm review, please forgive me. I feel like we have a lot. I feel like we have a lot to cover. To get me through the move, I had like one little makeup bag of everything that were just some of my essentials, and one of them was my CoverGirl Olay foundation. So just out of habit right now, I'm pulling this out, although I've hardly worn makeup the past 2 weeks, maybe even 3. I don't even know how to describe this whole process. And I did film some vlog footage too, so I'm trying to figure out when to insert that here into this video. Maybe I'll zoom you in just a touch. I'm figuring out the new lighting in here, the new beauty space, all of this stuff here. I'm gonna go in with the Yensa sponge, see how it applies. Okay, so to answer some of the back information questions about were we planning to move in the future? What was our thought process maybe? As far as the tiny house goes, we went into the tiny house situation knowing that we were not going to live in a tiny house forever. And I think I may have mentioned this years ago when we announced that we were going tiny and that we had moved to Florida and all of the things. We planned to live in the tiny house for probably like 5 to 6 years because we wanted to figure out, one, where did we want to be? In Florida, anywhere else? Where was Adam's job gonna take us? Where was my career gonna go? We wanted the flexibility to be able to just kind of like do whatever we needed to do. And I have some very loud birds that now reside in these big trees around my house. So if you hear them, I actually have triple paned windows in this beauty space, which was a huge draw into this house, but also the fact that this room has a lot of natural light, and I'm really, really hoping that I can kind of have some of the same light I had in my tiny house because I loved my light, the light setup, the natural light setup in my beauty room. It was perfect. So when we found this house, and I'm totally getting ahead of myself, this was the room that I was like, okay, it's kind of narrow, but it so reminds me of my filming space that this could just be a dedicated beauty room to have the natural light flow in and to be airy and breezy and all the things. So I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but I just heard the birds outside, so I was distracted. Shiny object. Okay, this brush, the sponge is doing really good. It's blending everything in nicely. It's firm enough that it's pressing the product into my skin, but bouncy enough that it's pulling away just enough so nothing looks bunchy. I may layer just a bit though, because your girl's got some stress acne. So we knew we were going to only live in that tiny house for 5 to 6 years. We have lived in our tiny house for 4 years. We had our tiny house custom built for us, and it was a smart house. It could be hooked up to a smart hub for all of the lights to be controlled, and was built really, really well by one of the best tiny house builders out there. And it really served its purpose for us for 4 years. So what shifted our mindsets to look for a house earlier than we were anticipating, or what we were thinking, you may ask. Well, like everybody else in the world, a lot of things changed for us over the past few years. One, COVID affected a lot of things for a lot of people. And I already worked remote before the pandemic. So that wasn't like a big change for me. What became more of a change was our lifestyles. I don't talk too much about what anybody else does that's family or in my life, because they don't choose to put themselves on the internet. I put myself on the internet. So I'm pretty respectful and private about a lot of things. But Adam actually works in a medical related field. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds on it. But that really shifted a lot of things for us since COVID, because he had to stay extra cautious to keep his team safe at the office, because if their office, had an outbreak, people would have to be off work for an undetermined amount of time. He has some, single moms that they know they need to be in work, making money, doing things, and he is amazing and always just made sure everyone was safe and taken care of, even if that meant we had to sacrifice not going out as much because of a pandemic. And he worked in a medical environment where, it was a high risk situation for a lot of people. So the past few years, we had really stayed at home. Even when the world started opening up more, we were definitely still more secluded in our tiny house. And the reason we went tiny wasn't to stay in the tiny house in like 350-ish square footage all the time. It was, you go tiny to live more, to travel, to do things. Well, COVID changed that, obviously. Gonna pop into the Item Beauty concealer in the shade 200. I think the sponge did a really good job of applying my foundation. Whoa! This is a huge doe foot applicator. Wow, huge. Just gonna start with that much because I don't know what to expect. And so we found ourselves at home a lot more, and this is just our personal journey. This isn't to try to, talk about politics or talk about COVID or talk about anything that's, so stressful and so dividing in a lot of ways, that I'm just telling you my story and to why we got to where we are. And through 2020, we were just kind of like, okay, we're grateful for so many things. Like, we had some cheaper bills. There were some really good things about living in the tiny, but there were also very limiting factors. Space being the obvious top of mind one, but also where our tiny house was parked and where a lot of tiny houses can be. It's kind of more in like isolated type areas, and it takes you a long time, like 30-ish minutes on average, to kind of get to places. And we had come from city living, and we had always been spending like weekends elsewhere and trying to go other places, but we'd always have to like factor in the commute and the dogs. This concealer's doing a pretty good job, I would say. I don't think that it is too cakey. I feel like the sponge is doing a good job of pulling away anything extra. It's doing a good job of coating my lids. I'm curious to see how it's gonna last and, apply through the rest of the makeup and things. I'm gonna powder next, but I'm trying to decide if I want a little bit more because the foundation I have on is kind of natural-ish as well. I don't know. I don't have any notes for this video, and I feel like I should have put together notes, but I have been so crazy behind the scenes, I've had no time for anything like that. I think I am gonna layer this just to see how it does. And it was just kind of like a time for us to make a decision of what do we want to do. And in 2021, we kind of decided we were going to buckle down and figure out what were going to be our new 5-year plans, what were going to be our new goals to live more. And does that include, buying a house? Does that include moving? What does that mean for us? And Adam and I did a lot of personal searching, soul searching, figuring out where we wanted to be in the future. What were our plans in life as a couple, as individuals, and we made the decision that we were going to just see, because we knew that interest rates were also going to be increasing, and we don't know when there's going to go back down, when is it going to be, manageable again, and we knew we didn't want to stay in a tiny house much longer. I'm going to try putting some powder over the top of this concealer. I think it's going on pretty smooth. I'm hoping it doesn't oxidize much. I'm still getting used to the lighting in this room, so it's hard for me to gauge a lot of things like I used to be able to. Everything's kind of shifting for me. Also, another factor is I have been putting a lot of work into my channel. I love this community. I feel like being very isolated we've all felt really isolated over the past few years. And I feel like this has really helped me to feel a purpose, feel like I'm connected to you guys, connected to myself. And I feel like this is a really nice area, like place for us to hang out. You feel safe to mention things to me or private message me or whatever, and I feel safe to come on here and talk about very important things in my life, like my hysterectomy journey and things. And it's important to keep in mind for me too that I only moved here 4 years ago, and immediately when I moved across the country, went tiny, and then within 6 months found out I needed a hysterectomy and my whole world went upside down. So I feel like, it's been an interesting chapter of my life, personally and developing. And then I started seeing more and more desire for this, to work on my channel more, to make my videos better. My content got so much longer because a lot of you guys really prefer my 30+ minute videos, and they take a lot of work. Hours and hours that you don't see on camera goes into the behind the scenes for that. And then brands started wanting to send me stuff. I have 2 more beauty boxes I need to tell you guys about very soon, and I'm so excited to film them, but I was running out of room in that house. I was running out of room in that tiny beauty space. We talked about maybe me going to rent an office building or rent an office at a building or something to, do this or work from home, but really not work from home, because it was also really a struggle for a lot of people being put in quarantine. And I'm not getting into politics right now, so please don't go there either. But it was hard living in a tiny space, working as hard as I was working on my day job and YouTube, and that also being my place of rest within 350 square feet. It was like imagine a space in your home, whether it's an apartment or a house or do you have a boathouse? That'd be cool. And you have this just a set section, and that's the only place 2 people and 2 dogs can be. The purpose of going tiny for us was to live more, do more things. I'm piling on way too much powder right now because I'm talking and not paying attention. This is why Get Ready With Me's are so hard. I think this looks really good. Feeling a little bit, am I still feeling a little tacky? Maybe in certain spots. The decision to buy a house came from us wanting to grow as people. Our social circle for friends, you can't really have friends over in a tiny house. Couldn't really through a crazy pandemic either, when Adam's working in medical and we're having to social distance more and maybe longer than the average. We also just found ourselves, when we could go and do things, we were spending so much time in the car and then trying to coordinate. We want to take the dogs with us to this place because we live in an area that's very dog friendly, but only in certain areas. So we felt bad about leaving the dogs in the tiny house all the time. So we would try to coordinate bringing them with us. But then when it came time to want to go to dinners and stuff, where would we take the dogs? Are we going to go back 40 minutes to go home to drop the dogs off, to go another 40 minutes back out? There was just a lot of logistic things too about where we were living and any place that we could move a tiny house to. And I know a lot of people go into tiny house living thinking they want to buy land for themselves and have their own little community. That's actually a lot harder with tiny house living than most people think it will be. And the TV shows definitely don't showcase the hardships of living in a tiny house. And it's not, if it's something that you want and something we loved doing for 4 years, it's not something we regret at all. It's just that because of the world changing, our lives changed. There were always ups and downs. There's ups and downs to any kind of home ownership, as you guys know. If you have an apartment, there's downsides. If you have a house, there's downsides. If you have a tiny house, there's downsides. But there's also upsides to every single one of those too. And we always try to be glass half full kind of people, but we were just finding ourselves not as happy as we were originally. And honestly, life is short. You've probably seen me putting a lot of stuff on my Instagram lately about just trying to go for things and just remembering that you get one go around in this planet. So you were not brought here to, lose weight, pay bills, and die. That's not the purpose of life. So I've really been kind of reminding myself of those things going through this transition, because it's been really scary. But as soon as we saw that interest rates were going to be changing and skyrocketing, and in Florida, I don't know if y'all have been looking at real estate at all, but there are certain parts of the country that it has been wild. And it's gotten to a point that we were well, let's just see. Is now the time? is now the time, because we were planning to do tiny house living, like I said, for 4 to 5 years, and then after the pandemic, it got harder. Well, during the pandemic, it got harder, and then after the pandemic, there's still lasting effects, and just a lot of variety of factors of quality of life. So it just became like, what do we want to do? What do we want? So we just started seeing. We're like, let's just go see. Let's just see what's out there, because it's like a house goes up on the market in Florida and bam, it is gone within 48 hours max. And you're like, wait, what? And it's going for 20 to 30 to 40 to $50,000 over ask. People were waiving appraisals and waiving inspections, and I'm really curious how those people fared, because everybody's moving to Florida. Everybody wants to move to Florida or move to Texas, or Phoenix is the other really popular one. Is it Phoenix? Yeah, Phoenix, I think. There's just a lot of places. People are wanting to, it's changed for a lot of people. People are wanting to leave, you know, up north or maybe the Midwest or colder areas, and they're like, I've got this one life. Everybody's, not everybody, but a decent amount of people are all being like, let's move to Florida. So we didn't even know if it was possible, but we knew there was an area in Florida we wanted to live. So yes, we still live in Florida. I'm very wordy, as many of you know, so it's taken me a while to even get to that part of it. But I wanted to give you some context. We still live in Florida, and we still live pretty close to where we lived in our tiny house, but it's about 45 minutes up and over, I guess I should say, because we did end up finding a house that we thought would be great. Like I said, this filming room definitely spoke to me as soon as I saw it in the pictures, and then when we got here in person. There's other parts of the house too that just shook us. Like the area we were looking, the area that we had our hearts set on was St. Petersburg, Florida. It is a fun area. It has so many things. You've got some beautiful attractions here. It is a pretty big tourist section of Florida. It's not Orlando. Like Orlando's more in the center of the state. We're still in the Tampa Bay area, but we were really wanting St. Pete. But we were wanting kind of more away from the crowds. We were wanting away from the touristy sections. So we started looking in parts of Florida that you could get a home with a decent yard. You know, we wanted a garage, and those things that may be like almost a given in the Midwest are not a given on the coast. They are not. Started figuring out what were our next steps and chapters gonna be. We were looking at different sections of St. Pete, talking to a realtor, figuring out where we wanted to be, and we looked all over in St. Pete. We looked all over. And it's not a huge area of Florida, but it has a lot of different sections and neighborhoods. So we really had our hearts set on one particular neighborhood, and we looked and we started enjoying other neighborhoods. So we kind of opened up our search throughout the process, and we saw, Adam still doesn't believe me when I tell you, we saw over 40 houses in person in a matter of 2.5-ish months, maybe 2 months. We saw a lot. Things would go on the market, and then you had to act fast. You had to get in to see it. So that meant in the middle of the work week, we would go 40 minutes after work to go look at these houses and hope nobody else had put in an insane offer before we got there is crazy. It's crazy. We kind of stuck to our guns and stuck to where our heart was leading us, because there was a couple of times we put in offers on houses that we were like, it would be cool, but do we really want to be there? I don't know. And it's a really hard market. I don't even know how to describe it. And since this is my first experience, Adam owned a home when we got married, but I've never purchased a home myself other than our tiny house. And that's a totally different experience, a totally different process that you have to include and think of. So this was my first time ever doing something like this. And you guys know me, I'm a very optimistic, glass half full person. So I was like, okay, if we didn't get the house that we thought we wanted, it wasn't meant to be. But there was a lot of heartbreaks along the way, a lot of heartbreaks. Some tears were shed, and it was it's a wild market, and you're kind of finding yourself accepting things that you're like, wait, I would not be okay with that. So I don't want to spend that kind of money on a house. It's just been so crazy. Especially since I've never bought a house. I put on too much bronzer, I think. Whoops. Why I can't do serious talks while doing my makeup, because I go crazy. Now I gotta blend it down. I don't want to forget something important that when I'm editing this later, I'm going to wish I would have said. But I know it's going to happen. So this won't be the last time, I'm sure, I talk about it, and you guys can ask questions. But we did finally, we saw this house. It is in St. Pete. It is in the exact neighborhood that we wanted. And there were a lot of factors bringing us to this. No, it wasn't the most updated kitchen, and no, it wasn't the most updated all of these fancy backyards and stuff, because those homes were being listed at like this price and they were selling for this price. It was insane. It was so out of our budget. All of these houses that would start out in our budget, they would go for so much more, and people were waiving, like I said, contingencies. They were waiving appraisals. They were waiving inspections. They were paying all cash for things, and I was like, holy cow. And so we started kind of like realizing, like, how badly do we want to move? How badly do we want to be in that area? And when do we want to do it by? So when we saw this house, we were really excited because we liked the flow of the house. We had already thought in our heads as we were walking through it the first time, we were like, okay, the kitchen is a pricey room, but it definitely needs an update, but it's livable and it's something that we could make our own. The beauty room is great. I also now have a separate office for working, which is amazing because I was really struggling with not being able to have enough rooms if we were going to move out of a tiny house and essentially put ourselves into some, house debt. Like, I wanted the house to be something we would love long term. And I loved that this had an office space and another office space. I don't know how to word this because it's technically a 2-bedroom with an office, which is what I'm in right now, is the office, but I'm making this my beauty room for YouTube. So I have another space now that I can work on all of my stuff for my day job. And I can keep those separate because that was really a struggle also in the tiny house, just trying to keep my mind focused on each individual thing or not get overwhelmed. And our bedroom has some great windows in it, and it was big enough for a king size bed because we upgraded to a king this week. Actually, 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago we upgraded to a king. We've never owned a king size bed, which is super exciting. I've not been telling you any products, guys. Sorry, hopefully you're catching them as I'm going through. This is my Studio Makeup Luminous Loose Blush. I was using the iconic London bronzer, and for a bronzy contour, the Glowdent palette from Touch and Soul. The house has some hardwood floors, which, the Midwesterner in me was like, oh, cool. And then the lady left who owned the place and took all of her rugs with her, and we saw the condition of the floors for realsies on the final walkthrough. Yeah. So we're gonna be doing flooring, and as I show you some vlog footage probably in just a few minutes, you're gonna see, just a quick maybe walk through of this place and maybe some of my thoughts in between. I don't even know what I vlogged, to be honest with you, at this moment. I was mostly doing it to keep myself sane through the process and maybe be able to have some before and after footage for future, like a couple years down the road. Maybe by the end of this year we could see some changes. All of that good stuff. But I feel like I'm just talking a mile a minute and I don't know if I'm making any sense to anyone. But we closed on this house at the very end of April. And I'll be honest, I went into a panic mode. Like, we had been planning this for a while. Like I said, we talked in 2021, like what do we want to do? Where do we want to see ourselves? Where do we want to go? And then when 2022 hit, we were like, okay, let's see if we can make this happen, especially when we saw interest rates were wild and changing. So we just did, the best we could and just went out there to see. Just gonna see. Does now the right time or not? It'll happen if it's meant to happen kind of vibe. And then it was months of seeing houses. We didn't tell anybody. We were just kind of doing it just on the sly to see. And then we got under contract, but it took like 2.5 months. We almost like, is this not meant to be? Is this not meant to happen? The backyard here is a double lot, which is so rare in St. Pete. That means it's got another, like, for our whole backyard is like the size of another house and yard, which is very rare because all the houses we were looking at had kind of small backyards, and one of the big things I wanted was a decent yard for Penny and Cooper. I had always felt guilty living tiny, that the kids, we call them the kids, didn't have a lot of space. And when we first moved to the tiny house, we felt like Like they couldn't even be outside without us. So I was walking them on their leash all the time. I was like always balancing trying to work or film with making sure they got enough exercise. We took them to dog parks all the time, but then they would get overheated. There was just always like a back and forth of like feeling guilty about them not having enough space to play and live their best. Strangely enough though, I do think Penny and Cooper now are I think they're adjusting well, because as soon as they got to a bigger house, they started pulling out all their toys. The house is covered in their toys right now, and they're playing, which they were not able to do really in the tiny house. We would get them toys, and they love toys, but there was never room to like chase your toys or roughhouse with your toys. They've already started doing that, which made me feel better. I do think they miss kind of having the lower set windows, because in a tiny house, you want as much light as you can to make the space feel larger. And now they can't see out of as many windows. And I think they're like, hey, how am I supposed to yell at all the neighbors? I'm like, you're not. We don't need to be those neighbors for other people. And we've only been here a week, but so far it's actually a pretty quiet neighborhood with some very big trees. The windows in here are triple paned. I think I mentioned that earlier, but that's super exciting for me, because we have, the benefit of living a little further out of the cities and stuff is like, some sounds you don't have to deal with, like a lot of traffic. And, I have, neighbors coming by. Mower's going to be going with multiple neighbors or whatever at some point. But you guys, I never really talked about where my tiny was parked. We had a concrete factory literally next door to where we had our tiny house. And you could not control the sound. I eventually had to get a microphone just to help balance out some of the grinding noises and dropping noises. And sometimes I'd have to refilm things because of all the sounds. Even in a more rurally area in the tiny house where the tiny house was parked, the sounds there were chronic and all the time. Whereas here in a neighborhood, I'm hearing birds. I'll hear a lawnmower, but a car going by at a stop sign, but nothing crazy. So I say that now, but watch in 6 months, I'm like, oh my gosh, these cars keep going by today. You trade off things. The two palettes that I have had with me the past week are these two Nichole babies, my Viseart palette and my Caramel Melange Zoeva palette. So I feel like I should mix it up. I really, really do. We closed on the house at the end of April. I kind of panicked because I was like, oh my gosh, what are we getting into? I've never bought a house. I started panicking. I was like, I knew I was leaving my safety bubble of the tiny house, which, when you go tiny, things are more affordable. Things are cheaper. They're also smaller. Everything in our tiny house was new. And I kept reminding myself, though, is like, homeowner life is still homeowner life. And no matter how big your house is, there's always going to be house things to work on. So when we were moving into an older home, because our home here is older, it was built in the 60s. And like I said, as soon as the lady took all of her rugs out, we could see, and she had a lot of stuff in here. So once we could see some of the stuff, we were like, oh, so we need to buy floorboards. Oh, so we need to install new floors or fix some floors or do some things. We were already like in our heads going, adding up. It's going to be our house that we can have for a really long time. It's actually going to accrue equity and important things like that in the adulting world. But also, even in our tiny house, we had to have stuff done. Things were breaking within 9 months that were like kitchen things that we had spent a lot of money on that we needed to replace or fix. Our AC unit, if you followed me on Instagram in 2020 and 2021, you guys likely saw how they had to, come in and fix some stuff from things that had happened during the build that no one knew about for a long time. We had to have so many things kind of like redone there that it cost thousands at the tiny house too. So I was kind of like, perspective is it's not always like a stress-free living when you're living tiny. And I can get more into that in a separate video one day if you guys ever want. I'm honestly trying to figure out what eyeshadow palette I want to use to go with. Oh shoot, I forgot. I was just talking so much I forgot to put on my Ciate blush. So let's do it. I did not put on any highlighter, so hopefully this is okay. How am I supposed to do this even? How do I do this? Directions for use. To use on cheeks, apply 2 to 3 small dots and blend immediately for a sheer flush of color. I've already powdered down too, which I already would have powdered down anyway, so let me just try this with my finger. Oh wow, it's darker than I thought. Like here's the packaging, here's the color. That is not a good representation at all. What? That's way darker. I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna mess up my makeup, aren't I? Uh-oh, and I gotta zoom later. Let's try it up here. I don't even know if I see anything. So maybe the darkness doesn't matter. I'm trying to decide if it's pulling away foundation or not. I don't know. We can also blame Nichole for this because I clearly forgot about it and I moved on. Maybe, I don't even know if I'm supposed to use this before powder or after. Your brain goes, no, liquids before powder, and that's why liquid products never work for Nichole, because I'm a powder girl and I am a creature of habit. Yeah, it's definitely pulling away foundation, I think, because you can see more of my freckles now. We got some going on over here, and mint, it looks wet, so we'll see. This may be for a more natural look than I was going with, because I've been talking my face off, so here we go. Where was I at? What was I talking about? Cleaning up this inner corner. Something I've learned I like to do just to kind of make the eyes look a little bit more awake. Okay, my face feels so wet and dewy right now over here. I may just have to put some powder on it in a second. All right, so let's go into the Basic Beauty primer. And I don't know how the lighting is gonna look in this, guys, because I'm used to my house facing another way where the sun is. I would have to wait in the tiny house to film. I couldn't film in the mornings as well because I'd have to have the blinds down because the sun would be coming in right at me. Thick primer, thick. Afternoons were best for filming at the tiny house, so for sunlight and natural light. And that was generally how I filmed there. I didn't even use my ring light really anymore except for to hold the camera really. So I'm gonna have to figure out the best filming and lighting situation, times for sun and all that here, because I really like the natural look when you're filming beauty videos, because I feel like it shows like colorations more, things like that. It's also more flattering, it's prettier, all those things. I'm just gonna use a little bit of regular powder and just powder, oh my gosh. I'm gonna guess this blush stuff you've gotta use before any powders, because I've had products before where even blush cheek products that were really nice and malleable over powders. I don't think this is maybe one, at least not that I am seeing yet. Go into an old palette. You had me at Hello ColourPop. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of vloggy footage I feel like about here while I'm doing my eye look, and because I've kind of caught you up as to, well, my long ramblings of all the things, but here is some of me going through the process. Probably have even a little bit of a tour in there for you guys, little empty house tour type thing. It is moving day. Adam and I were not sure what we were gonna do about when we were moving stuff. Adam rented a truck this morning and we thought we were just gonna do like the stuff that we have in a storage unit, and then maybe our outside like furniture and storage for like tools and things like that. And then he's like, well, you want to try to do it all this weekend? And I was just like, oh my god, really? Because part of me is excited for it, part of me, I'll be honest, really likes my comfort zone. Right now I'm just thinking about how many good times we've had in our tiny house, you know, and like, we loved our house. We built this ourselves. Well, we didn't build it ourselves. We designed it ourselves, and we, you know, sourced the builder, the whole thing. So I am just going through feelings, and I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are like, well, it would have been nice to have seen this before you tore it apart. I know I had every intention of eventually doing a tiny house tour, but I really wanted Adam to be part of it. But life got in the way, work got in the way, and honestly, as you can see, it really gets cluttered very, very quickly and very easily living in such a confined space. If you watch any other van lifers, or I don't know if there's a lot of tiny house channels. I really thought I would do that when we first started this journey 4 years ago, but it just ended up, life kept happening and my channel started to grow, and I have loved that whole process. But now I'm going from my like 350 square foot, 400-ish, I think it's more like 350, I'm going from a 350 square foot tiny house to a big house, and there are certain things about a tiny house that you've designed yourself that you know you're gonna miss. Like, I love how light and bright all of the cabinets are and how really big the windows are. Like, big windows are a huge thing when you live tiny because you want it to feel more open and more spacious. If you can hear the noise over there, that's my mini split. That's probably what you could hear a lot if you were listening to my videos with headphones on. You can definitely hear that. And I'll show you what right now the beauty space and office is like at the moment. It is, I mean, disaster. And I'm trying to make some decisions last minute to help Adam out. Oh, it's so hard because you can't live in boxes when you live so tiny. We've slowly been taking them over to the new house. For about the past week, we're on a busy road here, so you can hear a lot of noise sometimes. I'm so flustered. I'm so anxious and nervous, and I'm hoping by the time this video goes up, I am loving my new space. We have ideas because we know there's stuff we want to do to the house, but you know, you got to kind of get going somehow, get started. And since I work remotely from home for my day job, I want to make sure that everything is set up for me to be able to work by Monday. And it is Saturday at almost 5 p.m. right now. And we still have like the big loads to take over, like our sofa. Like we have a sofa. It's a tiny house sofa, so it's not huge or whatever. But we still have to take this all apart and put it on the truck. My IKEA desk that I'm packing up right now, packing up all of this to take that over. I'm now emptying the IKEA tall drawers that we have been using. Mostly a lot of it's been Adam's stuff. And then we have another IKEA Nordely dresser that we're going to be maybe adding up on in the new house. So those are the main things. Oh yeah, and let me just take you upstairs. Going up the stairs will be, you know, I'm not going to have an upstairs at my new house, but I don't really need it. It's a mess up here, sorry. I need to pack the dog beds in the car, but our mattress. This is a queen size mattress. We're actually going to be upgrading to a king, which is super exciting. Sorry we didn't make the bed because we didn't know this was going to be so crazy today. So please be kind in the comments about how messy everything is and how unkept it is. Up there behind the pillows is kind of like what we considered our headboard, and it has storage in there up there, so we'll still have to take all the stuff out of there. Definitely taking our 2 sound machines because Penny needs them, especially for rainy season, and Florida is about to get into the rainy season. Honestly, just processing everything right now because it's such a big life moment and move, and I'm actually using this vlog right now to distract myself from how anxious I'm truly feeling about all of it and hoping this was the right decision for us because we're in it. We're so in it. Like, we closed on the house on Tuesday/Wednesday. I think it was official on Wednesday morning. And now I gotta pack up my whole life, which doesn't seem like a lot when you live tiny. And in my head, I was even downplaying it. I was like, it's not gonna be hard to move from a tiny house to a big house. We're gonna have so much more room for activities, which we will have more room for activities for sure. But getting it all over there. It's a 45-minute drive to the new house. Adam's been going back and forth all day. Oop, that's probably him now. don't know if I noticed much of a difference from how my eyeshadow applies. I used a Super Shock shadow for the lids and a ColourPop palette and a little bit of a Viseart palette for a base, and I think it looks kind of how it would normally look. So I don't know if I saw much of a difference, but I'm gonna pop into this lippy really quickly, and I did put on a little bit of liner. So let's see how this goes on. This is just so not a color I would normally gravitate to. Goes on pretty smooth. I do find it needing to be a little layered. I don't think it goes with my eye look very well. I don't know. I'm gonna let this wear down and give you my thoughts. I did layer it just a touch to see. So let me kind of wrap up on this end of the get ready with me and just chat to you guys just a little bit more. Hang on. Okay, if the lighting's a little different, it's about an hour later. I did have to put a gloss on top of this lipstick. I'm not a big fan of the color, and it started to get really drying, so I did put on a gloss, and it is so much better. Definitely lasting. It does have transfer on my glasses in the other room, but I'm not mad about it. As far as like the texture and the feel of it, now that I have a gloss on it, but the color is definitely not my jam. Probably doesn't go with the look I have today either, but everything has settled okay. The blush doesn't look too bad, but I have gone over the top of it. I think I need to try that blush without using powders and, you know, try it earlier on in the stages of makeup to see how I feel about it. Do you guys have this guy, and have you tried it before? How do you like to use it? Okay, so I showed you guys some of my vlog footage of the process, and I honestly can't remember at this point. It has been such a wild time right now. And I'll probably talk about this some more as I'm trying to develop my new beauty room and trying to organize things. Do you guys want to see more vlogs of me like putting the house together, putting my beauty room together? My Do Not Disturb hat is still here. It is, I don't know if you can see it, up and over my head at the moment. I'm changing my ISO accidentally. Although maybe I need to. I'm still figuring out lighting in this tiny beauty space. Not tiny beauty space. I have to watch what I say now. Well, it is a smaller beauty space compared to some people. Like I know Tati is in the middle of a move and she's gonna have like this big grand room again, a big beauty studio. My room is definitely bigger than my last one was, so I need to furnish it. I need to get a rug for it. Right now I have down a big blanket trying to help for audio purposes, but I don't know if it's working or not. So I'm sorry if it does echo in here, and I need to not be so loud. I just get so excited when I talk to you guys. As far as like where we're at the moment, kind of like leading you back into where we're at right now, we're slowly moving things in. We're slowly getting new furniture. There's a plane going overhead. Apparently that happens here, is that they're kind of not really in a flight path, but maybe every now and again, I don't know. I'm learning all kinds of new things, stuff that you can't learn from walkthroughs in a house. You know, it's just like when you live somewhere new, you kind of learn there's, you know, school buses that go by, which I didn't have that before, and neighbors that are going to be mowing their lawns maybe potentially, but you know, that happens. We're going to be redoing parts of the house in phases. I know, like I just said, Tati has a house and she's like redoing the whole thing before she moves in. That's like a dream, but you know, that's not everyone's reality. So I'm slowly going to be doing things to like upgrading our floors, upgrading our kitchen, you know, giving our house, you know, a personalization touch that we are excited to do to it. And that includes my tiny beauty space. Well, it's not tiny anymore. I can't keep saying that. I'm really excited to go on this journey some more with you guys. And again, please be patient with audio sounds and maybe trying to get my lighting right and figure everything out. As far as the tiny house goes, we do have plans to sell the tiny house. We loved our tiny house. We actually have a big backyard that everybody's like, just put your tiny house in your backyard. Honestly, we know what the process is like with living tiny and wanting to go tiny. We loved it, and we want to be able to give someone else that opportunity, and there have been a lot of shortages across the globe, as we know, for things, and it's been really hard for people to get a tiny house. New builds and things like that are all delayed, more expensive. So we are looking into selling our tiny house to someone else who really wants to do it, with other people that are already in the communities and industry and want to know more about that kind of stuff. So yeah, we will be selling our tiny house, which will be bittersweet because we spent 4 years there, but it's also like, wow, we spent 4 years in our tiny house, and it was a really interesting thing. And I was saying this to my therapist the other day, where I was just like, it's going to be so different being able to like leave my office and beauty space and go do something else and not see the work all the time, because like the work can pile up, which mentally can be a load on you. So you can't like close the door. Like closing the door sounds so easy when you're like, I'm just going to close the door and be done with work for the day. That doesn't happen in a tiny house at all. So now it'll be nice to be able to like work and really dedicate time to my channel or to my day job or whatever I'm doing, and then be able to close the door and rest and relax, which is super exciting. And it sounds so basic, I know, especially if you're even in like a small apartment, you're like, yeah, you just walk out of the one room and close the door and go into the other room. It's so different when the space is so open and it's only one big space. I don't know if I could ever properly explain it to anyone who's never lived it, honestly. But we did buy a house. We did buy a house in St. Pete in the neighborhood we were hoping for. And right now the kids are in their backyard, which is super exciting. I've got some things to do today, so I've got to get off here. I could just keep talking to you guys forever. Leave me your questions below and I will maybe do a follow-up video on what the process has been like. I mean, again, if you are buying a house in this wild market, mwah, bless you, because this has been so hard, but I'm really thinking it's going to be so worth it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for going through my Boxycharm videos with me, my Boxycharm boxes with me today, and I'm okay with the boxes. They're not my favorite boxes by any means. I don't know if I'm ever going to wear this lippy again. I get this color every time in a Boxycharm and I'm just not in love with it. The rest of my makeup looks pretty good though. Pretty good. Not that I had a bunch of makeup to play with, but you know how it is. I gotta get some more stuff back here too, because spatially it's like, where am I? I'm also gonna be painting the walls, I think. I think I'm gonna be doing a full beauty room makeover. It's just all gonna come with time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you happen to be new to my loud, weird, crazy, unique channel, hi new friends, I really hope you take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of these crazy videos coming up. And like I said, I have more subscription boxes to tell you about and, you know, some more life updates. Bye friends.